you want to learn the craft of writing, and if you want to do well in your studies and on your job, if you want to enjoy self-expression and want to become a little more self-reliant, then this course is for you. My name is Imran Chaudhry. Welcome to Virtual University and welcome to Journalistic Writing. In this course, we'll study all about writing skills which are needed for journalistic communication. In this course, we'll study what is good and bad writing. In this course, we'll also talk about the characteristics of good writers. We'll see how do they work, how do they plan their writings. We'll also talk about how to fine-tune our sentences and then go into very logical paragraphing. We'll also talk about different styles of writing and then into journalistic types like what is editorial and how to write meaningful and effective editorials, what different mechanics are involved in its writing. We'll also talk about the technicalities involved in feature writing, column writing, how news are written, how they're different from opinion writing, and what are headlines, what news which come on the front page of the newspaper and which go inside the newspaper are different from each other. I believe you'll enjoy with me this course, and I, wish you best of luck, and myself also. Today, I will not try any hyperbole or any over-exaggeration to stress upon the importance of writing skills in your personal and professional life. Rather, I'll prefer quoting Dr. Donald Norman. Dr. Norman is actually a cognitive scientist working with the Stanford University. He was once asked by, some journalists, by researchers, that if he could rank 20 most significant, rather I would say 20 smartest tools which had the greatest impact on human civilization. Dr. Norman thought for a while, and then his pen started moving, and after a brief while, he enlisted those 20 tools. The first tool which he wrote was writing skills. And then there were many other 19. Then, after another brief while, what he did actually, he encircled the first tool and deleted the remaining 19 and handed that sheet over to his, colleagues. So, according to Dr. Norman, it was writing skill which had the greatest influence on human civilization. Let's see what actually, he wrote at that time. Let's take a look. The invention of writing is probably the most important tool for human advancement, making it possible for each new generation to build upon the work of the previous, to transmit knowledge from person to person, across cultures and time. I repeat, the invention of writing is probably the most important tool for human advancement, making it possible for each new generation to build upon the work of the previous, to transmit knowledge from person to person, across cultures and time. My dear students, I don't know whether you agree with Dr. Norman or not, but I don't find any option but to agree with him that yes, these are writing skills which has brought revolution in human contact and in human civilization all over the world. Even so, I would say that writing skills from your first grade through your school, college, university, and throughout your adulthood will remain very important in your life. And very frankly speaking, very frankly speaking, all human beings have something to express. Styles may be different. Writers may write on paper. Painters may paint on canvas. Gardeners may express through flowers. Singers, they can express through their singing. Musicians can express through their songs, and whatnot and whatnot. Just imagine that you don't express for a day. Try it. You know what's going to happen? You'll burst. You'll feel like, writing a long letter to your friend. You'll feel like, singing a song or drawing a painting or making your garden, In old times, men of religion, they used to go to wilderness and they would impose silence on them. But actually, they would go there to do what? They would go there to have a word with the God. They had lots and lots of thoughts, welling up in them. And in the wilderness, very quietly, very, very quietly, in very, very private moments, they would share their thoughts with the God. So what they were doing? Of course, they were expressing. So this is how I believe the expression has importance in human, life. And when we talk about writing or painting, it's expressing the same thoughts with the help of pen or brush on a piece of paper or on a white canvas. So this is how things, do. Now, let's try to find out what writing is. And we are going to do it together, I and you. Okay? Are you ready? All right. Let's find out what writing is. And I'll give you the first point. And the second point, you are going to give me, my student. Okay, the first point, writing is what? Well, writing is very practical. Writing is very practical. I mean, every day in our life, morning to evening, inside home, in the market, what we do actually, we are making lists. We are preparing reminders, jotting down ideas. We are writing instructions. We are writing notes. So writing, don't you think, is practical? Of course, yes. Now, second point you give. Come on. Try. Come on. Try. What did you say? Oh, yes, I agree with you. Writing is job-related. 1001. And I believe you've given me the most important point where writing skills are involved. All professional and white-collar workers write a lot. They are busy writing reports. They are busy writing, letters, memos. They are busy writing, see, day-to-day, issues, problems are there. They are like, pen and paper, writing solutions, and whatnot and whatnot. Okay, now let's go down to the third point. Writing is social also. We write, all of us, most of us, if not all of us, write, letters of gratitude, thank you letters, letters of appreciations, and we invite our friends. And the fourth point, I believe, writing is highly stimulating also. Writing provokes our thoughts to come out, and through pen, they get on our papers, okay? And we then very logically, in a very concise manner, we make them presentables. And last but not least, writing is therapeutic also. Ask yourself that many a time, you feel that perhaps you cannot express your feelings through speaking. So you keep your feelings very much inside your heart. Then someday you realize that perhaps there is another very important, medium, very important mode, and let's make use of it. So what you do actually, your pen and your paper and your catharsis, and this is how we call it, well, bringing all the hot stuff from your inside, putting down on a piece of paper, and you feel relaxed. Let's once again take a look at these 5 points. I said writing is practical. Secondly, writing is job-related. Thirdly, writing is social. Moreover, writing is stimulating. And finally, writing is therapeutic. Unfortunately, after, going through all the use of writing skills and its importance in our life, and life means, personal and professional also. Why I said unfortunately? When we see, the reality, when we go into a practical world and see whatever we are talking here, is it put into practice also or not? Let's go to schools and colleges and see what's happening. We are placing this much importance, but perhaps the product which comes out from schools and colleges, perhaps they are not that way, instructed or trained in writing skills. Lots of employers, they, moan and groan on the writing abilities of, the newly hired people. Then they had to go into lots and lots of trainings for them, and that's very costly. Training is a costly decision, frankly speaking. Last year, me and some of my colleagues, we conducted a survey. We went to different schools and colleges to find out the dichotomy between theory and practice, or you can take it this way, dichotomy between myth and reality about writing skills. We selected 100 students of different grades, boys and girls, English and Urdu, medium schools, and of course, accordingly, post-grad colleges. And the results of those survey, they were really shocking, frankly speaking. Out of those 100 guys, the happy thing was that everybody agreed, at least everybody agreed that writing should be, or writing is, something which is clear. Writing is something, which is, let's say, coherent. It's something, which is organized. But when we put them into practice, we were disappointed. The disappointment was that theory or, the belief about writing, fine, they do understand the stuff. They do understand the game, but practically very weak. Nearly everybody lacked in clarity, lacked in coherence, lacked in organization. Now, third finding was what? 0.25 out of 4. 0.25 out of 4. Not 1, 2, or 3. 0.25 out of 4 guys, they were able to produce very moderate level, I would say very simple persuasive types, persuasive messages. Just very simple, very ordinary level, nothing special about. But yes, 0.25, they had an idea what persuasive writing is. And 3 out of 4, they were seriously, suffering, I would say, suffering from some, writing problems. I mean to say, they really, needed some serious, I would say, real, well-planned, long sessions on writing, so that they could really come out of. Okay, so another, classroom experience, when I teach writing to my students, they always ask me, after listening to this much about the importance, they always ask me a question that, sir, is there any, magic stick under the spell of which, they could sleep, and tomorrow when they wake up, they could see this flaunting feather in their cap? And my, of course, answer to them is, no, dear, we don't have, of course, such a stick. You really got to do it yourself. You really got to put in a lot. It's practical, It's altogether practical. Then they, of course, like some wishful thinkers, do talk about, okay, if only they had some machine, they could give some, writing instructions to that, like what's to, what's from, what's, date, what's the subject. Okay, and then plugging the keyboard into a pad, and then sit down in a cozy couch over a cup of coffee and aromatic garlic bread, and see their writing written. I would definitely ask them, Come on, wake up. I mean, this doesn't happen, in a real life. Rather, we don't have such a gizmo available in the market, which could really take control of your writing. And why it should, why there should be such a machine? I mean, just imagine your words, ideas are controlled by something else. That would be the last day in your life, I would say. Come on, we can't afford it. Writing is too important to be given it to machines. You should take care of it. You should take control of it. So, no shortcut, no formula, and no bag of tricks to learn writing skills. You have to do it yourself. And you have to really, work it out. Frankly speaking, very, very frankly speaking, and you take it a frank truth, that writing skill, yes, as to many, is difficult. So let's see now what makes writing so difficult. Yes, the first point which I can give you is writing is difficult because it involves one rare skill, and that rare skill, I believe, is the straight thinking. And let's see what other points are involved in the art of writing. The first of all, writing well requires clear thinking. Number two, it requires sufficient time. Number three, a meaningful task. Number four, interest. Number five, practice. And finally, revising. Now, when we say clear thinking, see, all of us have lived many years. We live with each other in this life, which is full of drama. God has given us 5 senses. Like we can see, we can observe, we can hear, we can touch, we can taste, we can feel. So all these senses basically are the channels. Channels for what? Information, which is happening all around us. Different incidents, events happening all around us. Through these 5 channels, they penetrate. They enter us. They sneak into. So I believe we have lots and lots of stuff stored right inside us. A huge stock. What we need to do is, we need to channelize this stock. We need to bring this stock very logically, in a very sequenced manner, out on a piece of paper. So there you need actually clear thinking, straight thinking for writing. All writers are straight thinkers. They have, wonderful abilities to critically think, to plan out in split seconds, and then that becomes your habit. Initially, of course, you'll feel it difficult. You'll see a rush of stuff, or you'll see no traffic of thoughts. But with the passage of time, the moment you hold paper and you hold pen in your hands, that, thinking skills are on in your mind, and then your brain starts welling out information. So clear thinking is number 1. And I would like to, give you one terminology, IT terminology. They say it's, GIGO. I mean, garbage in and garbage out. And I would like to, use the same thing for writing skills, that clarity inside, clarity outside. So if you're clear inside, your messages which you produce, the writings which you make, they'll be very, very clear. And let's go down to the point number 2, which is sufficient time. Well, my dear students, after straight thinking or clear thinking, you gotta be, highly, highly patient which is something very, very important for writing skills. You would say if writing is your job, then one has to be skillful enough to produce like in seconds and minutes. Yes, I agree with you, but the point is, initially it doesn't happen. But of course, like, after some months or years, you get it. But initially you got to be highly, highly patient. You got to give yourself, real time. You'll have to, out of your 24 hours, give yourself, let's say, 30 minutes or 1 hour, and very seriously, quality time, very seriously, like, try to learn it. Have some, like, books, have some tools, have, like, dictionaries along with you, and, try to do it, learn it. Our third point, which was meaningful task, you don't need actually to go out of your home to libraries, out of your city or country to find out topics for your writing. Your topics are scattered all around you, inside your home. Therefore, initially try to, write on topics which are more realistic, less abstract. Write about, your siblings, write about your parents, write about your friends, describe your home, narrate different things, which happen all around you, okay? And, give words and give thoughts, share your writings with your, your brothers and your sisters, your parents. Earn appreciation, pat yourself if they say, wow, okay? And if they say, they turn down things, no need to worry, work again, try it again, no problem. This is how, like, we learn in real life. So we got to start from very realistic topics, and then, we can move further into some abstract, understandings and abstract, trying and writing. Next point was interest. Have interest in this skill also, the way you take interest, in different other, academic or non-academic activities. I believe this skill, writing, is little more tiring. When you compare it with speaking skills, there you really enjoy, you like that, But in here, it's little tiring. It's at times little boring. This is how people, like, give words too. So what you need to do is have some interest in it, okay? And then you'll see, like, definitely come to you. And practice. Practice has no substitute. You got to practice it again and again. And, there is another very useful advice I would like to give you, my students, that when you write something, put it down in your drawer and forget about it, for a week or so, okay? And after a week or so, come back to it, take it out, and go through it. And you would see that a huge difference in that week's time. You would see that you yourself will be able to assess and evaluate your own done-up things. And then you can, become your own, teacher. And this is how you can see your own practiced, assessed by yourself, and then you can re-practice things, and that practice, continue throughout your learning process. And last of all, revising. You revise when we write. What we do, actually, we revise our, writings. We revise for what? We revise for clarity. We revise for, let's say, conciseness. We can revise our pieces for organization. We can check whether in our writing, is there any logical sequence and progression. We can revise for words. We can revise for, some grammatical stuff. We can revise whether sentences, they are effective. You can check, well, what's the impact, overall impact of your writing. Impact is low or impact is high. You can even check the information, or ideas or thoughts which you are sharing, you can take care of those also, whether they are appropriate, whether they are sufficient, whether they are relevant, whether all aspects you have covered. You can check the format also. Different writing pieces, require different formats. You can check that as well. You can check the mechanics of your writing also. You can check, its spelling. You can check, I would say, its punctuation. So this is how, you keep on improving your writing. And the same points, I believe, these 5-6 points actually make your writing slightly difficult more than, speaking skills or speaking activity. Now, this was actually what writing needs. Let's now take a look of those aspects which you need to, really, really focus on if you want to learn writing or you want to, be successful in this course also. These points which I'm going to share with you now are specially for you. Now, let's take a look at those points which will help you throughout this course if you want to improve your writing skills. First of all, point number 1, or you can take it this way, these are things to do. Like, first of all, make your writing real. Number 2, read a lot. Number 3, brainstorm. Number 4, keep a journal. Number 5, write together. Number 6, use games. Number 7, making lists. And number 8, copy facts. Let's now discuss these points in detail. When I say make it real, and I mentioned it before also, that you can have 2 types of topics. Like the first one, real topics, which are more concrete in nature. And the second one, abstract topics, which are, of course, not that way concrete and also not that way easy to write about. So initially, you are going to write about concrete topics. You can write on, every day you read newspapers, so you can, write on some interesting news stories. Or if you're reading some articles, what you can do is, after reading that article, you can re-express that article in your own words. If you are interested in reading some columns, so you can also re-express that, or you can write a letter to the columnist if this facility is available. Or, if there is anything surprise in the newspaper, so you can try, to write some letters to editor, and you can see your letter published in the newspaper. And later on, you can, when once you get used to it, then you can also take up some abstract topics as well. Secondly, my advice is read a lot. When I say read a lot, I actually mean that, look here, 4 skills we have: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Now, listening results into speaking. Of course, naturally, you listen more and more. What happens actually? Your speaking gets fine-tuned. Reading. Reading does not result into speaking. Reading results into writing. Out of these 4 skills, very frankly speaking, the most effective skill, the skill which pays you a lot, the skill which has more to offer, I believe, and I believe you would agree with me, is the reading skill. We call it mother skill. Why? It has many, many things to offer you. Look here. When I ask you, write something on some issue, for example, what you need actually? You need ideas, number one. You need organization of those ideas. You need appropriate words. You need strong collocations. Then also you need word variety. You need element of precision as well, which you have to take care of. Then come down to our syntactical choices. You need, different types of sentences. You need different structures, Then you need to take care of, let's say, punctuation. You need to take care of spelling. So all these things, of course, have to be learned. Look. Take a look of this reading thing. What reading does? Reading gives you the whole package. Through reading, you get ideas. Through reading, you come to know how writers organize their ideas, how they play with the major and minor information. See, this is a facility actually when you are reading newspaper, novel, you're reading, plays, whatever you are reading, that reading is, of course, offering you. That reading basically is, that piece of reading is a window to that writer's style. So, then you can see that direct and indirect approaches which readers adopt. You can also study this. And reading also gives you, beautiful words, how writers dress up their thoughts. Reading is offering you. And you can also see that why readers, why writers, they are preferring certain words upon others. You can see this as well. How writers, are associating words, and you can see that the word variety of the writers, you can see the idiomatic choices, and then you can go down into, the structural analysis as well. Reading offers you, variety of structures, which you can also copy, and you can, own them. And next time when, tomorrow you go into, some writing practices, you can make use of these things. So, reading actually, doesn't matter what you read. Take my word, it doesn't matter what you read. But important thing is that little analytical ability. Read with little analytical ability. Don't try to skip things. Rather, you have to, jump into, you have to scan things out, and then you can note down those stuff, and tomorrow make use of it. They, of course, they become yours. So read a lot. It will give you ideas. I repeat, it will give you ideas. It will give you understanding of organization. It will give you, lexical choices. And it's going to give you grammatical accuracy also. And the structural variety also. So do it. And, of course, again, it really needs a lot of motivation. And you have to stand for it. Okay, my third point was brainstorming. Look, writers actually, it's possible that when they pick up pen and put on a piece of paper, that they do not have nothing in their mind. So what they do, quite a few writers actually, they are gifted with this ability that they can, in just 1 second, start, non-stop, which we call as free writing. But very few people do this way. Everybody, professional or novice, everybody brainstorms. Everybody brainstorms. You can brainstorm through different ways. And in my next classes, of course, I'll talk about the brainstorming skills also, and how differently we can, produce, information out of nowhere on a piece of paper. Of course, we'll study that in detail, but try to brainstorm on different, let's say, close or open topics, and see like how much information, your mind or your brain can give you. And trust me, this is my confidence in you, that just hold a pen and paper, sit down, in some quiet place, and think of a topic. Let's say flower. Write this flower in the middle of a paper and start brainstorming. Switch on, all those lights, so that, your ideas slowly, they come down through your ink on a piece of paper. You would see that perhaps you don't need anybody's assistance. You don't need any books to read. You don't, need, encyclopedia, to get some information. This, your brain itself is an encyclopedia. But the need to do is a practice. Learn how to do brainstorming. You'll see ideas will rush out, from your mind. And then what you need more, simply, you would see how to put things together in a logical, order, and writing is done. So every day, make it your habit that at least one brainstorming you should do. Topics which can be one word based, or topics which can be in the form of issues, in the form of some debates, could be anything. Just think of it. Like, think of your room. Think of your mother, what you can write about your mother. Think about the kitchen, think about drawing room. Think about objects, think about your clock. Think about your pen. Think about yourself. Think about what you want, your wants. Think about your likes or dislikes. There are hundreds and thousands of topics available around you. And start brainstorming. Believe me, you will be a walking encyclopedia. Okay. The fourth one was keep a journal. Look, it's always good to have a journal with you. Now, here, journal, I mean actually, whatever you write, keep a record of it. Whatever you write, keep a record of it. And over the days and weeks and months, see the improvement. Compare and contrast your writings, okay? And, and you can, of course, correct yourself. Plus, there is one more use of journals that, you are, sitting at your home, or you are in your office, you are in your market, just take notes about and start writing. This is, I believe, the best advice I can give you, that non-stop, go ahead, and this will also develop your, free writing ability. Now, the fifth point is write together. At times you need, I believe, since we are human beings, we do need each other. So there's no harm in going into a joint venture. You can take the assistance of your, your friend. Rather, it would pay him also. Sit together, okay, and both of you brainstorm on topics. Both of you organize according to your own style, those points, and, dress up those ideas into language, and then, compare with each other. See, like, what A has done, and see what B has done, and, learn from each other's style. This will give you sort of an opportunity, to become each other's teachers. Perhaps your friends, lexical choices are great, and perhaps your grammatical range is huge, so that you can exchange. Perhaps he is more appropriate in, finding out ideas and thoughts for writing, and that thing, perhaps you can learn from him. Perhaps, you are what you say, strong in mechanics of writing, so there you can help him. So there is no harm in going into a joint venture. The next advice I can give you is, there are lots and lots of games available, in the market. There are softwares, you can bring for market, and therefrom you can learn what? There are vocabulary games, actually. You can make use of those games, okay? Improve your vocabulary every day, like make it an appointment with your, word stock. You good writers, they have a huge stock of words. I again and again, like, I stress upon the same thing. Writing is a game of three, of course, things: information, organization, and, of course, language. And in language, the major part is played, of course, very major part, I would say, is played by the word stock. Have lots and lots of words. And where from you can get those words? Well, there are different tools. Again, for this, fundamentally, you'll have to rely on, let's say, some magazines. Take the example of Reader's Digest, for example. It has got many things to offer you. There are, lots and lots of articles in it. There are, 2-3 features also. There are like some fun stuff in it. Some jokes are there. Some personal stories are there. Some quotes are there, and vocabulary building activities are there. So what? Get one, digest. This is just an example. You can, like, go and see, in the market, if you are interested in sports, for example, buy sports magazines. You're interested in wrestling, go for the wrestling stuff. You're interested in, heavy bikes, go for the heavy bikes. Doesn't matter. You need to have one of your choice. Bring it home, and then you need one more tool. What's that tool? That tool is dictionary. Now, what you got to do is, or maybe, like, to spend a little more, go for some highlighters, okay, of different colors. All right. Now, and yes, I shouldn't forget that. Of course, you need one small copy. All right. Now, these 3-4 things are around you. Now, just start going through, your, that magazine article or whatever, and whatever word you find, interesting, highlight that, look it up, its meanings from dictionary, and note it down in the copy. So every day you can, like, make it a habit of learning 10 to 15 words. If not, if it looks as if there are too many, okay, no problem. Go down to 5 to 10, words every day. And the next day, when you start, copying another 5 to 10 or 10 to 15, revise your previous words, and this is how you can increase your word stock. And try to use it. It doesn't matter what language you use. For example, you're learning, let's say, English language you are learning, okay? It doesn't matter that the whole day you speak Punjabi, no problem, try those words in, your Punjabi language, doesn't matter. You speak Urdu, try those English words in Urdu language, doesn't matter. So this is how, you increase the stock, you pump up your vocabulary, and if you want to be a good writer, you got to do it. And someday, even that can be a flaunting feather. You can, like, crow about that, you have this much stock. You can be a central, figure amongst your friends, that you have at least one word for every situation. Wow. What else you need, And that will, of course, give you sort of convenience also tomorrow when you are into dressing up your thoughts into some language. Of course, this word stock is going to help you a lot. You will not you'll not suffer from that linguistic constipation, that you do have information, yet perhaps you don't have that right, expression. So this is really, really important. And my next point was making lists. Well, there is no harm in preparing, lists, whatever, like, same way, like as I have mentioned before, that when you brainstorm, so you different, pieces of information, of course, come down from your mind. So you can also, the same way, you can prepare lists and make it your habit, whatever you do in your life, make lists of things, and this is how you can organize yourself. And the last point is copying facts. don't feel it a shame that you are reading things and you are copying also. It doesn't matter. You find, of course, we are copying language, for example. Of course, we learn. This is how we learn, actually. Ideas as well, we can copy from. For example, you see some nice code written somewhere, have, a notebook. You can note it down there and then. You find some facts and figures, there and then, you can copy. You find some verses there and then you can copy. Some nice ideas, I mean to say unique ideas, for you. You can, of course, you can copy that. There is no shame in it. Tomorrow, when you'll be writing, then that notebook becomes your reference book, having lots and lots of information you can make use of. So this is how, we can improve our writing. There are many other things to offer. Of course, in my lectures to come, we'll discuss those things in detail. Now, some of you might be wondering that if one can speak good language, then why to learn writing? I mean to say, won't it be enough if one knows to speak adequately? Not this way that whatever we speak, we, put the same thing on a piece of paper. Why to, from scratches, start learning altogether a new mode? My dear, writing is not just putting your words down on your paper. Writing is something else. Rather, I would say there's a huge difference between speaking and writing. There's a huge difference. They are, if I'm not exaggerating, they are totally different. Let's take a look now. What are the major differences between speaking and writing? Difference number one. Speech is universal, whereas writing is not. I mean, every child in the first few years learns to speak automatically. I mean to say automatically means, through non-systematic manner. I mean, a child is only listening to his parents and his other siblings and automatically, reaches the age of half and 1 or 2, speaking automatically comes. Whereas writing, of course, doesn't come this way. Perhaps most of us had to go to schools to learn the art of writing. Second difference is dialectical variations. Look, when we talk about speaking, we see that, different people speak differently. Take the example of, Britishers. Take the example of Scottish. Take the example of Canadians. Take the example of Americans. Take the example of, Australians. Take the example of Indians. They all speak different English. Their words are different. Their structures are different, Their styles are different. At times, they're like, word which are specialized, regional. We at times call them, slang. They are totally, not that way standable. Whereas writing, on the other hand, is standard globally. We have to have standard words, have to have standard structures, and we have to have some standard formats to, follow in writing. The third one is speakers use voices and bodies. There is some rhythm, there is facial expression, there's gestures, whereas writers, they simply have to rely on his words, and this is how they deliver messages. The next difference, speakers, they use pause and intonation, whereas writers only use punctuation. Speakers pronounce their words, and writers, spell them out. And speakers, do not plan, actually, when they speak. We usually say that, speaking is less planned, speaking is, less formal, whereas writing is highly planned, highly formal. Say it, writing is very, very compact. And the next point, speaking is something where listener is right there in front of us. And for writers, this facility is not there. His readers, they don't know where they are. To say readers are not there, of course, in front of them. They cannot see the reactions of the readers. So, well, they can assume perhaps, but listeners, speakers, they enjoy this facility. They see their, listeners nodding, questioning, very much involved in the speech. So this is how another important difference. Speech is repetitive also, whereas writing is not. And finally, speakers use simple sentences, and they connect their simple sentences with lots of ands and buts, whereas writers, they try more and more complex sentences, and they link the complex sentences with pretty advanced connectors. So this is how speaking and writing differ, from each other. So I believe that is the end of today's lecture. In this lecture, we try to understand what actually writing is and how we can, improve our writing through daily practices. In my next lecture, I'll discuss with you about the qualities and the concerns of good writers. With this, thank you very much.